Why the urges become too much when you're practicing semen retention. So when you start retaining, you also start recovering from your previous ejaculation. So the recovery period is around 3 to 7 days, depends on body to body, on how quickly you recover from the previous ejaculation. I'm talking about the internal recovery that happens, that the brain fog you feel and the lethargy and all that stuff, that kind of recovery. You start feeling energized within 3 to 7 days. At least 3 days it takes. And after the 7 days period, you might have noticed that the urges have become too much. Give you a woman, and shall I say, you might end up wrecking the bed. You get the point. The urges have become too much. And are the urges during semen retention normal? I will say a fat no. They are not normal. Why they are not normal? If you're practicing semen retention and you're only doing it for retaining, and even worse, you're counting days. You have seen these videos on nofap timeline, and you're just counting days and waiting for 30 days mark, 90 days mark. You're just waiting for the benefits to appear. Then the urges will become uncontrollable, because that is not the way this practice that is not the way this practice should be practiced, because the urges won't become too uncontrollable if you were transmuting and channeling that energy from your pelvic floor to your brain. It is called transmutation, or even to put it in more simpler terms, it's just called channeling. You're just moving one energy from one place to another, from your pelvic floor to your head, and then circulating it into your whole body. That's why you feel energized. That's why people who transmute energy are the ones that stick to this practice, that don't feel these super strong urges that are uncontrollable, because they can transmute it. They can utilize this energy to focus better on work, to use this energy during workouts and all that stuff. They know how to transmute this energy. You get the point now. You cannot just retain for sake of retaining. You have to find an outlet. But even before that, you have to learn how to channel it. How do you channel it? It is non-negotiable to do breath work. You have to do breath work if you want to channel this energy. If you want to truly be on this path of semen retention, you have to you have to do breath work. That is a non-negotiable, because that is the only thing that will help you move this energy up from your pelvic floor to your spine to your brain. Only then you can utilize this energy. Otherwise, the tension will build up in your pelvic floor, and it won't the benefits that you want. The high energy, the better mental clarity, the articulation, the agility, the virility, is that the word? The vitality, you get the point. All the benefits are real, but you cannot see those benefits if you don't channel this energy through breath work. You cannot retain for the sake of retaining. I've used this metaphor before. You cannot cage a tiger and say that you're a master of this tiger. Once the cage is opened, you are done. That's what you're doing with your sexual energy. You're putting a cage on it. You say that, oh, I'm retaining. You put a cage on your sexual energy and you say, oh, I'm good at controlling it. No, you're just caging it. Once it becomes too powerful to be caged and the cage is broken, you will be doomed. It's as simple as that, because it's such a powerful force. It can literally create skin and bones, and you think you can cage it without channeling it to somewhere else. You can only give direction to this energy. You cannot control it, you cannot cage it. You understand? You cannot cage this energy. So you need to know how to channel this energy and to become better at channeling this energy. You have to do breath work, because that is the only thing that will help you move this energy up from your pelvic floor to your spine. That is the only thing. You can also do yoga, but I personally don't think that just yoga postures alone will help you move this energy from your pelvic floor to spine. You have to do some breath work, because breath is powerful. Just look online, look on YouTube, search that sexual energy transmutation breath work. You'll find countless videos and see what works for you, what feels good to you, and just do that. Just do this in the morning and see how your day goes. I'm sweating right now. When you do breath work, the tension that you felt in your pelvic floor, the urges that you felt, the super strong, uncontrollable urges, you won't feel them anymore. They will dissipate, because after breath work, the energy found its way up to your brain. So energy dissipates in your whole body. It doesn't stay stuck in your pelvic floor. So that is the reason I'm skipping my words. That is the reason breathwork will help you to mitigate those urges. You will be able to better utilize the energy that you're retaining. Because after all, what's the point of retaining if you can't even use that energy? If you feel the same while retaining, then retaining is pointless. You're better off ejaculating again, because there is no point. If you have to constantly fight the urges, you're doing something wrong. You're here to ride the wave of your urges like a surfer. You are constantly trying to get your way up. You're drowning in the urges. That is not sustainable. Start doing breath work. It's non-negotiable. If you're a cuck, if you're a modern cuck who thinks that he can fool this energy by just doing no fap, the modern no fap, that just you just refrain from not fapping, and you can cage this energy, you can fool this energy, then I have some bad news for you. You are going to relapse eventually, and very soon. You won't even last 2 months, or in max extreme cases 3 months. You might last longer than that if you have erectile dysfunction, shall I say, because then it's easy to do no fap. If you want to practice semen retention, you have to do breath work. That is non-negotiable. I said that infinite numbers of time in this video, but because that is the truth, I've I felt off track from this semen retention thing because of that. I was never practicing breath work, never in my life. I've been in this journey since 17, now I'm 21, but I will say from the age of 17 to 20, I just couldn't keep up with this semen retention thing, because I was just not practicing breath work, so the energy was staying down in my pelvic floor. When the urges became too much to handle, I relapsed. And I'm 21 now. And from the age of 21, I started practicing breath work. And now I'm doing pretty fine. Now I know how to channel this energy. and now I don't feel super strong, uncontrollable urges because I'm riding this wave of lust instead of drowning in it. And when you start doing breath work, you can channel this energy to your brain and then utilize this energy to anywhere you want. You can use this energy towards your purpose, towards creating something, creating art, or creating whatever. Or you can even use this energy for physical activity, workout, high intensity training. You get the point. Now you make the choice. You want to be this super raw, modern cuck who follows no fap and doesn't do any breath work because he is cool. He cannot do this old stuff. This is for old people. Or you can be this guy who practices semen retention instead of no fap, and he actually uses the energy that is retaining. Make your choice. I'll end this with a note that without transmuting, retaining is useless and not doable whatsoever. Have an awesome day.